you're looking to dive into topics on how to live a happier, healthier, more fit, and long lifespan, then you've come to the right podcast. Living the Dream with me, Coach Damian Evans. Together, we will explore the topics on all things health, fitness, and wellness. Together, we will be lifelong learners on this journey to living the ultimate dream.
What up, Dream Team? Coach D here coming at you from beautiful sunny San Diego, and welcome back to the Living the Dream podcast. And today, we're throwing it back. On Throwback Thursday, we dive into some of the best episodes from the archives, packed with timeless strategies to help you crush your health, fitness, and wellness goals. These episodes might be from the past, but the lessons still hit hard today. Whether it's a mindset shift, a fitness tip, or a nutrition hack, this throwback is here to remind you just how far you've come and how much further you can go. Every Thursday, we take a step back into the podcast archives and revisit an episode that's just as relevant today as the day it was recorded. Science evolves, new research emerges, and I'll always continue learning, but many of the core principles and health, fitness, and wellness remain timeless. So today's throwback is part 2 of my deep dive into supplements. Supplements, part 2. We'll separate evidence from marketing, focus on what actually moves the needle, and help you spend your time and your money on the things that truly matter. So without further ado, let's get into it. So for this episode, we're going to be exploring lifestyle supplements, such as vitamin D, fish oil, mushrooms like reishi, lion's mane, cordyceps, as well as the herb ashwagandha, along with some new science when it comes to CBD supplementation and more. The goal is to set you up with the information as to what each supplement can help with, how much and how often you should take it, as well as some whole natural foods that you can add into your diet before you go to the pill or powder route. So let's jump right in. I want to start with vitamin D. Right now, there is a huge buzz going on about vitamin D supplementation when it comes to the COVID-19 and other viruses similar to it. Scientists have been on top of this since the moment we went into a worldwide lockdown in March 2020. But I think a lot of this information has yet to really reach the masses. So all politics and arguments aside, let's discuss scientifically what vitamin D is and what its role in the body does. We can call it vitamin D, but what's super interesting is that it's not just a vitamin. It's actually a hormone like testosterone, estrogen, insulin, cortisol, and melatonin. Vitamin D is required to absorb calcium from the gut into the bloodstream, which is a huge important factor in a lot of major functions that your body goes through every single day. Vitamin D is mostly produced in the skin in response to sunlight and is also absorbed from food that you eat, but only about 10% of vitamin D is absorbed through the average balanced diet. So most of it is through the skin from sun. Recent studies have provided further evidence of vitamin D as an important regulator of our immune system and immune functions in the body. These studies show that vitamin D may stimulate an innate immune response, which provides frontline protection from infectious agents. Vitamin D also enhances the expression of proteins in the body that defend against specifically respiratory tract pathogens. Here's something that's really interesting. As you age, especially into your later years like 70s and 80s, aging can decrease your skin's ability to produce vitamin D3 by almost 2-fold. And in an observation study with over 8,000 participants, where they tested the vitamin D levels broken up into races, whether it's black, white, Mexican Americans, those with darker skin had far lower levels of vitamin D, as well as a much greater chance of being deficient and below what is considered healthy. The darker your skin, the harder it is for you to obtain vitamin D through sunlight. Someone with lighter skin produces 5 times as much vitamin D as someone with darker skin. And another interesting thing to consider is that because vitamin D is fat soluble, A lot of vitamin D is stored in your body fat. The more body fat that you have in your body, the less vitamin D is available to help with other functions, like your immune functions. So that's why they find that obesity is closely linked to vitamin D deficiency, which is yet another reason on the long list of motives to lower your body fat percentage. It's going to hide in your body fat and not be used like it should in the other cells of the body. Another important aspect of vitamin D is that when you get enough of this hormone, you give the calcium and the phosphate in your body the ability to do what they love to do, which is travel together into the bone, reinforcing and strengthening bone in your body. So calcium and phosphate, they love to go together into the bone and help strengthen bone. Without vitamin D, though, your phosphate gets excreted in your urine. It just gets peed out. And in turn, calcium loses its partner and is less able to enter bone, which is not what you want when it comes to strengthening your skeletal system. So simply put, vitamin D assists in helping calcium and phosphate strengthen bone. When you don't have enough vitamin D, you don't have the ability to have calcium and phosphate strengthen bone. One little side note on vitamin D is that you can have an active form of vitamin D in the body and an inactive form. You would want to avoid having the inactive form because then it is not as useful to the body. Researchers just recently looked at the effects of high fructose corn syrup. We've heard about this, high fructose corn syrup, and how it turns the active form of D3 into the inactive form. This is definitely something that you should consider. If you're struggling with vitamin D deficiency, you'd want to cut down or even cut all the way out your high fructose corn syrup consumption, which really is just a great idea overall, in my opinion. Even if you aren't vitamin D deficient, it's for many other health related reasons that you shouldn't eat high fructose corn syrup. Now, 50% of the world's population, 50% is deficient in vitamin D. And that's simply because the lack of exposure to sunlight. You could also be deficient because of decreased fat absorption, meaning issues with your bile or intestinal tract, or even reasons with obesity that we just discussed. So how much vitamin D should you be getting? Well, the recommended dose is at least 600 IUs per day, 600 international units per day, and a little bit more if you're over 70 or 80. That's about 800 IUs per day is what they suggest. Here's where it gets a little sketchy, and here's where I have a really hard time with my own supplementation. You can easily consume too much vitamin D. If you already get enough vitamin D from the sun, and you can also take an oral supplement when you have too much vitamin D from the sun. And vitamin D overdose can have some serious detrimental effects on your health. You won't get overexposure to vitamin D from sunlight. Your skin's going to burn before that, but you can definitely get it from supplementation and sunlight, or strictly just supplementation, I guess. An old school way of remembering what happens when you overdose on vitamin D is you'll get stones, bones, abdominal moans, and psychic groans. Stones, bones, abdominal moans, and psychic groans. So increased calcium means increased chances of calcium-based kidney stones, which I hear are absolutely terrible and painful. Bones because what we talked about with the excretion of phosphate, which doesn't allow calcium to strengthen those bones, which means in turn that it weakens bones over time. Abdominal moans because calcium contracts the muscle of the abdomen. And if you feel those abdominal cramps, it could be from that smooth muscle of the digestive tract contracting too hard. So we have the bones, we got the stones, we got the abdominal moans, and then the last would be psychic groans because increased calcium depresses the nervous system. So those aren't very good things if you have too much vitamin D. But also, too little is really bad thing, and along with the too much being a bad thing. This is why experts suggest that you get your blood work done on a regular basis to help you gauge whether or not you're getting plenty from the sun, like maybe some of us Southern Californians, or if you need to supplement, like maybe some of my friends and family from back home in my hometown of Oregon. I myself, I get lots of sun, so I'm torn between taking an oral supplement or not. I should really get my blood work done for vitamin D levels, but I just haven't yet. And to be honest, I personally do take a vitamin D supplement. I don't have any of the side effects right now, and I know how important vitamin D is, especially in times of worrying about viruses. So I'm gonna risk it, but I definitely should go get those blood work done. And I'm obviously not a doctor, so I can't tell you how much to take, but you have to definitely tune into your lifestyle. Are you inside all the time? Are you lacking in foods that contain vitamin D? Well, then you may want to consider vitamin D supplementation. Whole foods that contain high levels of vitamin D are fatty fish, like tuna, mackerel, salmon. You could do beef liver, cheese, egg yolks, lots of good stuff for vitamin D there. I'm going to include a link to this high level 1 hour YouTube video seminar talk that if you're interested in really diving into the science of vitamin D, you can kind of go down the rabbit hole. In this video, you're going to find all the resources and studies that we just talked about. So that'll be in the link of this podcast. A nice little 1 hour YouTube video seminar. So that's vitamin D. Next up on my list of lifestyle supplements to take is fish oil. Now, this is a little controversial, so do your research. Our bodies do not make enough efficient omega 3 fatty acids. So we must obtain them through our diet. And we rely on them for brain and eye and heart function. Brain, eye, and heart function. Fish oil, omega 3s is what we're looking for. The American Heart Association says that you should eat oily, fatty fish at least 2 times per week in order to obtain an adequate amount of the 2 types of omega 3s. There's DHA and EPA. So omega 3s has 2 different types, DHA and EPA. Animal sources of these fish oils come from salmon, herring, sardines, trout, albacore tuna. These are all rich in DHA and EPA sources. Now, non-animal sources would be flax seeds, chia seeds, walnuts, and soybeans. Some of the research-based benefits of omega-3s is that they lower triglyceride levels and by as much as 20 to 30%, as well as shown to increase your HDL, which is the quote-unquote good kind of cholesterol. So lowers your triglyceride levels, increases your HDL. Omega-3 may also help improve your blood pressure. The effects are modest in a meta-analysis study when looking at just how much it improves blood pressure, so it's a little modest in the results, but hey, even if the effects are small, anything helps, especially for those people that are going undiagnosed or untreated high blood pressure. It could be just kind of like a fail-safe thing. Now, if you're unable to get omega-3 through your diet and you do want to supplement, opt for 1,000 milligrams per day and make sure that it contains at least 250 milligrams of EPA plus DHA. And you want to take it with fatty foods to help improve absorption. So take your omega-3s with nuts and seeds, avocados, or foods of that nature. A common concern with eating fish is the mercury content, right? You hear this all the time. I don't want to have high mercury in my diet, so I don't want to eat the fish. Well, from what I've read and what I've heard, you should be pretty solid if you avoid eating the big fish and you stick to the basic lower food chain fish. So obviously avoid eating shark, swordfish, king mackerel, or tilefish, which all contain really high levels of mercury because they're higher on the food chain. So when it comes to fish oil, I truly think that eating whole foods here is much more beneficial. Plus, it's really nice to diversify your protein with some good fatty fish. Chicken and rice, chicken and broccoli can only get you so far. If you eat a well-balanced diet with fish 2 times per week, you can hold off on the oral supplementation most likely. And those weeks that you go without eating fish, which is going to happen, those are the times that you can have that nice high-quality fish oil supplement on hand too. Wait for it, you got it, in order to just supplement. Yes. Now I'm going to spend a little bit more time on this next group of supplements. It's something that I've been digging into a little bit recently and that I'm kind of finding that I have a little bit of a passion for it. I really like it. I don't know a whole lot about it right now, but it's brand new. It's getting hot right now. This is something that people and scientists are studying over the past couple of years. It's insane how many studies are coming out on their health benefits and their daily performance enhancements. This group of supplements is called adaptogen mushrooms. Now, I could do a whole episode on mushrooms, but let's just do an overview of my favorite ones and the ones that I think you're going to benefit from. And no, we're not talking about psychedelic mushrooms, of course. We're talking about medicinal adaptogen mushrooms. So let's discuss what each different mushroom does for you and where you can get your supplements from if you're if you aren't adventurous enough to get them from the original source. So, medicinal mushrooms are exploding in their popularity over the last few years, especially in the health space. Although controversial to some and kind of just weird to others, medicinal mushrooms have been used for thousands of years. Our ancestors knew the healing properties they possessed and have been used for health purposes for a really long time. Now, you heard me call them adaptogen mushrooms. What does adaptogen mean? Well, we've talked about this in past episodes about how in our current society we have so much chronic stress. News, social media, work, traffic, and hundreds of other tiny micro stressors that we come across day in and day out in our normal everyday lives. Well, when we ingest mushrooms, mushrooms are very great at modulating stress. In fact, some are known as immunomodulators. Immune modulators. They control. This is done naturally and gently, whereas prescriptions that we get from our doctors when we get sick, those are usually so effective because what they do is they create a negative feedback where they force the body into releasing a certain chemical or to create a hormetic response, right? It drops something in order to increase and bounce back to another thing. Well, mushrooms are being studied so intensely right now because it is believed that mushrooms can do many of the same things for healing sickness, but through a more natural and gentle way. So, mushrooms have a really bitter taste. It's usually best to mix them with other things. They come in powder form, so it's super easy to incorporate them into your diet. Some common and popular ways to drink your mushrooms is to add it to matcha or tea, or coffee, or even hot cocoa. You could add them into anything, really, though, so like smoothies or baked goods. In terms of buying mushrooms, you have to make sure that you're buying your mushrooms from a high quality, sustainable, and reputable source. You can't just buy them off Amazon if you haven't done your research. You can easily get tricked into buying some of the trash out there from the not so good companies that are just trying to make some money by tricking the buyers. There are two companies that I use and that the experts that I follow really suggest. And then there's also two companies that I researched while researching mushrooms that seem to have amazing feedback from consumers, but I haven't really used them yet. So just kind of do your research. I'll give you four companies that you can look into, and then I'll talk about the mushrooms that you should be looking for. The two companies that I suggest are Four Sigmatic, and Four is spelled Four, so actually spell it out. Sigmatic is Sigmatic. Really cool company. I'll talk about them in a second. And then Organifi, Organifi. Now, Four Sigmatic is super cool because their mushrooms come in this easy package that you can take with you anywhere. You can rip it open and dump it into coffee or tea. It's just like a small square, like a tea bag. Um, let's talk about the other two companies that I haven't used yet, but that got really good reviews. The other two companies are called Root and Bones, root like the root of a tree, and bones, and then Sun Potion. They got amazing reviews online. They are sourcing super high quality mushrooms and they get their product tested for quality and effectiveness, which is really cool. And one last thing before I go into my personal favorite list of mushrooms. Although mushrooms have been used for thousands of years by our ancestors, I could not find a ton of human clinical studies done on mushrooms and their efficacy. There are definitely some, but not as many as, let's say, like a creatine or a caffeine. Remember, clinical human studies are different than in vitro or animal studies. There's a lot of in vitro, meaning like in petri dishes, or animal studies, like doing them on rats or monkeys. Just not a whole lot on humans. I listened to the founder of Four Sigmatic Mushrooms supplement, Mr. Taro, and he speaks on this subject as I was searching for them, and he says that he thinks he knows why, the reason why. He says most studies are done on supplements or compounds, they're done by pharmaceutical companies because there's money to be made if you can prove it. What happens is you can't patent a plant or a fungus in this situation. So there's not a whole lot of incentive to throw millions of dollars into research studies where the return on the investment just doesn't make sense to do so. So when thinking of trying these mushrooms yourself, just keep in the back of your head that in the end, do what is best for you. Explore and actually have an awareness of each thing you put into your body is actually doing for you. Is it helping and making you feel better, or do you feel nothing? Or does it even make you feel worse? It's up to you to do your research and to decide for yourself. All right, perfect. So now that that's out of the way, let's talk about mushrooms. The first mushroom I want to talk about is called reishi. Reishi is a very interesting mushroom. Reishi is spelled Reishi. It is one of the most studied medicinal mushrooms, and it is one of the oldest known mushrooms to be used as medicine. It's been used for thousands of years, and it's really powerful. It is a more calming mushroom that is usually recommended to take at night. It is also great for inflammation and immunity and really great for your digestive system. If you are struggling with any forms of intestinal distress or digestive issues, it's a great mushroom to drink in a nighttime tea just before bed. Reishi works beautifully to open up the pathways of respiratory and heart health while offering antibacterial and antimicrobial properties. Reishi has been recently celebrated to help with sleep. So, taking reishi before bed in a warm tea is believed to really help with sleep latency, which is just how fast you fall asleep. And then the quality of sleep that is increased that will get you through the night. So, you fall asleep faster and you have better quality, which is really nice. Moving on from reishi, next is lion's mane. Lion's mane is great for mental clarity. It actually looks like a lion's mane if you ever see it in its full form. So if you suffer from brain fog, or you have trouble focusing, or you feel really mentally fatigued at work, lion's mane is a super easy thing to bring with you to work. Throw it in a drink whenever you need to focus up. Science has just started to back up what our ancestors already knew about lion's mane. A study out of Japan took participants that were 60 to 80 years old, so on the older side. All of these participants had some sort of cognitive impairment, whether it was Alzheimer's or dementia or any type of brain issues like that. Everyone had some sort of cognitive decline. Now, the researchers gave each of these elderly participants 250 milligrams of lion's mane. It was in an extract and it was for an extended amount of time. What they found was insane. The results were linearly, how do I say that? Linearly related with the amount of time the participants ingested the mushrooms, meaning that the positive results in their memory and cognitive impairments, they got better and better the longer the participants ingested this mushrooms. I think that that's just incredible. So when you think about nerve cell death and nerve cell regeneration, the nerves in your body, the cells, they die off and they regenerate. It makes sense that these mushrooms might help because what lion's mane does is it helps block the death of specific nerves, and then it helps with the regeneration of those cells. So this means that there's better neurological connection in the human brain. Your cells aren't dying off that don't need to die off, and they're regenerating the cells that need to be regenerated faster. I mean, that's pretty cool. The potential of what lion's mane can do for people like these participants is really, really exciting. And myself, I can't really think of anything scarier than having my brain degenerate as I age. That like sounds so terrible. And I know that we have friends and family in our lives that may be experiencing that right now. So knowing that these mushrooms can assist or even just might be able to assist, that kind of helps with that fear a lot. So that could be something to check out. Another study looked at the membranes around certain cells. The membranes around these cells are called endoplasm. And in the study, they were concerned with seeing these specific cells in their membranes get broken down. And they got broken down by what's called oxidative stress. We don't really need to go into this much right now, but the endoplasm of the cells, eventually they were getting broken down, which completely kills the cell eventually. So this is nuts. The scientists then observed that when they gave lion's mane to people, that oxidative stress, the cell death, did not occur. This was a huge discovery and some really phenomenal research. I mean, I take lion's mane from Four Sigmatic anytime I give a speech or I'm coaching a special workout or I'm on camera for any reason. I just want to make sure that my mind is sharp, and I love the little boost that it gives. So I definitely recommend lion's mane. I take lion's mane. I think it's really cool. It has been found to have great impact on deep sleep at night as well. So lion's mane has compounds that promote brain growth, neuron repair, synapse repair, and is the only non-psychedelic mushroom that has been found to do that, which is incredible. I even found some people online who have been diagnosed with Lyme disease and suffered from crippling symptoms, and when they use lion's mane, they notice the neurological effects and the benefits right away. Super interesting. Another side note, not a mushroom, but if you're looking for a product to help with your memory and your brain function, I often take Alpha Brain from the company Onnit, Onnit. Now, Alpha Brain is a supplement that is well known for its brain benefits. Definitely do your own research in order to know if this supplement is something that would be beneficial for you to supplement with. But Onnit, this company and the founder, pretty cool people, they put a ton of money into double blind placebo based scientific studies to prove that it worked. So they funded their own research. Now, I know the studies were funded by the company, which means that there could be a conflict of interest, but these studies were the gold standard of studies, and it's very hard to cheat the results. And I'd rather that these studies get done one way or another, even if it's from the company that funds it, and let the consumer read the results of the study and make their own decision on their own than if the study didn't get done at all. So give it a shot, Alpha Brain. It's a little spendy, but I think it has great benefits. All right, moving on. So next up is cordyceps. Cordyceps is known as the longevity elixir mushroom, known for longevity, pre and post workout supplement enhancement, increased endurance, increased performance, and increased lung capacity. Now, I want to start off with the benefit of improved physical performance because this benefit is actually only one of the clinical human studies that have been done to back its claim. So there's only been one study that has backed its claim. So take that with a grain of salt, but at least it's been done on humans, which is super exciting. The rest have been done in animals and in vitro. I'm going to include the link to this study in the description of the episode. The other benefits we'll talk about have been done in those animals or in vitro, meaning petri dishes in a lab. So while definitely it's helpful to have this research, not entirely proven in humans through clinical research just yet. It's coming. It's coming. It does appear that cordyceps is beneficial for a certain type of exercise, and that is anaerobic glycolysis. This is an energy pathway that your muscles use in order to fuel super high intensity. So, like sprints or HIIT training or weightlifting. The reason cordyceps is beneficial for this activity is because it improves the lactate threshold. And we've talked about this in previous podcasts. What it appears is this mushroom helps assist using that lactic acid that builds up, that creates that burn, as a fuel source. So simply put, instead of hitting that burn you feel when you exercise at that high intensity, cordyceps will help use some of that as fuel so you can go longer without having to stop from the burn. Another thought is that it may be neutralizing the lactic acid buildup, but this is considered a less likely effect than actually just using it as fuel. Now, another benefit of cordyceps is that hasn't been clinically studied in humans, only in vitro and animals, is that it has the potential to improve cognition. It has some stimulating properties and seems to be able to increase work properties while actually decreasing markers of stress. This has been reported anecdotally by human users as well. So anecdotally, without a study, humans say that this is what happens. What's interesting about this is that most stimulants actually have increased markers of stress when taken. So cordyceps has decreased markers of stress. Other stimulants increased. Most notably, the most popular stimulant in the world, caffeine. So it's very interesting that cordyceps is possibly being found to have stimulating properties and at the same time actually decrease markers of stress. So while caffeine blocks a certain receptor, this receptor creates tiredness and fatigue in the human body. That's what caffeine does. It just blocks that receptor. But sometimes it results in a crash or a come down, where it is believed that cordyceps actually increases the capacity of the body to be stimulated by certain processes in the body rather than being a blocker of receptors like most stimulants do. So essentially, it's going a different route to create energy in the body. Super interesting. I'll include a few studies of cordyceps in the links of this podcast, in the recommendations and the links at the bottom of the description. Okay, moving on from cordyceps, now we're going to chaga mushroom. Chaga is spelled Chaga, and it is a naturally energizing mushroom, but not quite as potent as cordyceps. It is one of the highest forms of antioxidants in the plant kingdom. Super antioxidant rich. It's considered a superfood. Antioxidants help fight free radicals in the body, which are known to be carcinogenic and cause different types of inflammation and cancer. So, the free radicals create cancer, and antioxidants help fight free radicals. And chaga is one of the highest forms of antioxidants in the plant kingdom. Drinking chaga is a great way to support your immune system. Chaga was originally used as a digestive medicine, helping with upset stomach, nausea, diarrhea, but recently, scientists are studying its effects on DNA regeneration and protection. What? DNA regeneration and protection? That's huge. They're finding that chaga cells protect the aging process of your DNA, which is unbelievably awesome. If your DNA lives longer, you live longer. Less diseases, hopefully. Now, it's important to note that very few, if any, studies have been done on humans to scientifically prove that chaga has all these healing benefits. Again, there's not a lot of money in that research. Only in vitro studies or studies on animals have been done, which doesn't mean they're not true, right? It just means that no one has done the study yet. But why not? Well, we'll get this. When I searched to find human studies confirming the benefits of using mushrooms as medicine, I found a little rabbit hole as to why no human studies have been done. This might have to do with something that human clinical trials are super expensive. They are expensive because you usually have to pay a bunch of people to take time off of work so that they can be studied with every single variable accounted for. They have to live in these labs. So usually, the only people that pay for huge human clinical studies are the large pharmaceutical companies, so that they can get the scientists to say that their product works. And the way that pharmaceutical companies work is that they discover a drug and they quickly patent that drug. And if it works well, then they can benefit to make a lot of money from that discovery. The thing with mushrooms like chaga and all of their mushrooms and plants and herbs, well, those things can't be patented, right? So there's not a lot of incentive to do the research in that area. Research seems to go where the money is. And if you talk to any scientist, that's what they say. Research goes where the money is, which makes sense to me economically, but definitely leaves out opportunity for really cool natural finds like these mushrooms. You can also combine different types of mushrooms, and you can combine them to be symbiotically helpful with certain ailments. According to Neil Feiner, the founder of Wild Kingdom, who sells wild-crafted, dual-extracted, high-quality mushroom extracts, his company's called Wild Kingdom, so you could check them out too. He says that if you struggle with IBS or any gut issues, that chaga combined with turkey tail mushroom is the absolute best combo. So chaga and turkey tail, if you struggle with any kind of gut issues. The anti-inflammatory properties of chaga control the yeast and candida and the bad bacteria growth, while turkey tail is feeding the beneficial bacteria. So those two mushrooms combined kill off the bad bacteria and control that, while it builds up and it feeds the beneficial bacteria. This also helps restore your microbiome along with boosting the immune system and all the other known properties that each individual mushroom has to offer, which is super cool. This might be an interesting thing for you to try if this is something that you might be struggling with. Now, if you want to dive into the world of mushrooms, if you find what we just talked about really interesting, you have to go watch this YouTube video of the founder of Four Sigmatic Mushrooms. His name is Tero. I'm going to butcher his last name. Isokapapila. So Tero is spelled Tero, and his last name is Isokauppila. He is he seems super smart. He's like an Elon Musk type of guy. He gave this talk at Google for their employees. So I'll include the link of this YouTube video in the description of this episode. It's kind of a masterclass on how to run a business as well. I've watched it 3 times in a row. It's pretty cool. Okay, so as far as dosing goes with the mushrooms, the dose for therapeutic benefits, the only dose that I could find was somewhere between 200 and 500 milligrams, depending on how you do it, of course. There are powders. So there are the actual mushrooms, which most experts say to avoid unless you know how to properly prepare them. So you have the powder, and then you also have there's oil extracts that you can purchase. I like to use the powders, to be honest, but you have to be careful because some companies just grind down the mushroom and they leave this hard substance that the mushrooms have called chitin in the product. Now, chitin is what lobster shells are made of. So you can kind of imagine having to try and digest and metabolize a lobster shell. Probably not going to work very well. Four Sigmatic says that they remove the chitin, but I've heard testimonials online saying that oil extracts are more potent than the powders because there's still a trace of that hard to digest chitin. So I would say just do your own research and see which is better and benefits you the best. Another shout out that I want to give is to the company Organifi. I have no affiliation with them, but a lot of experts that I follow swear by this company, and I do as well. I really like their stuff. Not only does the company have a great mission statement, they also are great to their employees and they give back to the community and to the earth as well. I personally use Organifi products. They have three different juices: a green juice, a red juice, and a gold juice. Now, they are definitely a little spendy, I'm not going to lie. They are on the higher side when it comes to expense, but they last a pretty long time. The green juice is a great way to start your day with essential superfoods that help reduce stress and reset your morning. It's made with ashwagandha, which we'll talk about in a little bit, moringa, matcha green tea, chlorella, spirulina, turmeric, red beets, wheatgrass, lemon, coconut water, all these amazing superfoods. It's great. With a list of those superfood ingredients, you can almost taste the health as you're drinking it. Now, the red juice has a potent blend of four powerful adaptogens: rhodiola powder, cordyceps mushroom extract, Siberian ginseng powder, and reishi mushroom extract. It claims to have clean, lasting energy without jitters or crash, which I can attest to, and with antioxidants and adaptogens that help with an afternoon boost, or as I use it, as a pre workout drink. Now, the gold juice is actually my favorite and the one that I use the most. It's marketed to support calmness, relaxes and comforts and eases the body, and soothes to repair and regain energy. It has real superfood ingredients like turmeric, ginger, reishi mushroom, lemon balm, turkey tail mushroom, magnesium, black pepper piperin, coconut milk, Guylon cinnamon, and acacia fiber prebiotic. I drink the green and the red with cold water, but I drink the gold as a hot tea right before bed. And my Aura Ring, which tracks sleep, it actually shows stats that it offers sleep improvements for me at least. I know that's definitely an N of one research study, but anecdotally, I totally love the gold juice and it tastes so good. Now, green to start the day, red for pre workouts, and gold right before bed to help with the quality of your sleep. That would be what I would recommend if you're going to use Organifi products. If you're looking for a discount code, you can use the one that I use, which is Model, MODEL, or Mind Pump, MINDPUMP, to get a discount off of your entire purchase. Let me know what you think of them if you try them. So that's the mushrooms. Let's move on to another natural supplement. Next is called ashwagandha or ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is an ancient medicinal herb with multiple health benefits. It can reduce anxiety and stress, help fight depression, boost fertility and testosterone in men, and even boost brain function. Supplementing with ashwagandha may be an easy and effective way to improve your health and quality of life. But how does it work? What is it actually doing to our bodies? Well, it reduces levels of inflammation in the body and it helps boost the levels of brain derived neurotropic factor, also known as BDNF. So it boosts BDNF and it reduces inflammation, which is super important for brain health and brain function. This herb has been studied a little bit in clinical settings, and I'll include a YouTube video that I reference where you can find these studies. There was a systematic review done on 5 of these studies that found ashwagandha improved performance on cognitive tasks. So it improved performance on cognitive tasks in the people that had these mild cognitive impairments or even like schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. So ashwagandha supplementation helped improve their cognitive performance. And this is pretty incredible. Randomized, double blind, placebo controlled trials that show that ashwagandha can actually help brain function. That's really exciting. There was another quality study that was done over 8 weeks where it actually showed decreased anxiety and stress when compared to the control and the placebo groups. They gave each participant 250 milligrams per day and an even greater effect of 600 milligrams per day. And this is important. So they saw a little bit of effect with 250 milligrams, and then they saw an even greater effect with 600 milligrams. This is really important because this shows a dose response curve. As you take a little bit of the substance, you get a little effect, and as you take more of the substance, you get a greater effect. Now, of course, more is not always better, and there's always going to be that point where if you consume anything too much, it becomes toxic to the body. But the dose response curve of ashwagandha and its benefits is pretty cool in my opinion and something to be explored more. And one of my favorite things about ashwagandha is that it is being found to be super beneficial to help sleep quality and sleep latency, which we talked about. Sleep quality is the amount of time you spend in deep sleep and REM sleep, whereas sleep latency is the amount of time that it takes you to fall asleep. So falling asleep faster and getting better quality of sleep when supplementing with ashwagandha, well, awesome. And there are studies that actually support these effects. So that's cool too. The downside of these studies is that they're done short term, they're not done long term. So we still don't know exactly what ashwagandha does in the long term. So that is something that you should really consider when deciding if ashwagandha is something that you're going to supplement with. Now, lastly, before I do a quick list of herbs and spices that you can immediately add into your life, I want to touch on something that I've just started utilizing and that is becoming more and more popular, and that is CBD supplementation. So, CBD. With CBD becoming more prevalent, we are hearing all kinds of ailments that CBD can treat. But no one is talking just about general health. No one is talking about how CBD can play a role in living longer and healthier with your life. Well, first off, before we can talk about general health, we also have a clear understanding of what CBD is doing in our body, and then also what CBD is not and does not do. So CBD is a natural stimulator of the body's natural endocannabinoid system, which that means is that CBD, unlike THC is what you probably think of when you think of marijuana. Unlike THC, CBD directly allows our body to produce more of the endocannabinoids that allow us to feel good and treat issues like pain, anxiety, and even sleep. When you look at THC, it's completely different. Cannabis is going to make it so that your endocannabinoid system is directly stimulated, meaning you have a force coming in and stimulating something. So that's the marijuana if you smoke it, just like a drug. Whereas CBD promotes the natural production of something. So you're not changing or blocking anything. You're just allowing the body to produce more of what it likes. Now, the endocannabinoid system is super cool. It gives us bliss, relief, calmness, and we have receptors throughout our entire body, not just our brain. That's insane, right? So CBD comes into the body and suppresses a compound. You won't need to know this, but it's called fatty acid amide hydroxylase, or FAAH. The FAAH is required to metabolize THC or cannabis into something else. Well, CBD suppresses this compound, which allows the body to produce more of what is called anandamide. And I know this is getting a little sciencey, but just stay with me here. It's going to come around, I promise. There are a lot of different cannabinoids, but the one that scientists are focusing on is anandamide. This is because it is a super cool endocannabinoid. The root word is ananda, which comes from the word bliss. When you look at the compound, you can see that it is a powerful anti-inflammatory marker. So when this compound is high in the body, then inflammation is also systemically high. We won't go into inflammation too deep here because we've done that before, but if you look at pretty much every single chronic disease or state in the body, inflammation is at its root. So, simply put, CBD directly has an ability to produce more anandamide in the body, which in turn helps the process that are made for modulating and controlling inflammation. CBD helps with inflammation, simply put. Another thing that CBD does is it helps reduce the T and B cell proliferation. So, T and B cells, what the heck does that mean? This is all about your immune system. When you have overactive immune system, you have a lot of T and a lot of B cells that are activated. This means that your immune system is attacking itself for no reason, like in the case of autoimmune diseases or disorders. The way that CBD affects this is it promotes what is called cell apoptosis, which is a fancy word for that it allows cells in the body to die when they're supposed to die. So if you have an immune cell that is old and it shouldn't be there and it is programmed to die, but it's still living longer than it should, then it's going to cause the body to heighten up the immune system more, which means that we're going to feel sick. Our body is constantly fighting itself. We don't want that at all. So, what's really cool is that even if you are somewhat unhealthy, CBD could help you get healthier by blocking bad bacteria from causing inflammatory issues in the body. Super interesting. Now, you've heard probably that people use CBD for anxiety. It's probably one of the most common ailments that CBD is used for right now. The reason is because CBD has a powerful ability to activate adenosine. While coffee blocks adenosine, CBD activates it. So it's kind of the opposite of what the effects of coffee does when it comes to anxiety. And don't worry, it's not the opposite of coffee when it comes to energy. It's strictly to that feeling that you feel when you drink way too much coffee and you get anxious and you get jittery. Well, CBD has the opposite effect of that. Another thing that CBD does in an indirect way is helping you feel good by activating receptors that are directly related to serotonin, the feel good hormone. CBD has been shown to have effects on insomnia and better sleep quality too. This is one of the main reasons that I myself take CBD at night. Its calming effects, along with helping me sleep better, are super important to me because we all know how important that huge pillar of sleep is to our health and fitness goals. And last but not least, I also want to mention something called, stay with me, GPR55. If you are concerned about cancer or cancer growth, then in the body, GPR55 is something that you want to block. It's been shown in studies that by blocking GPR55, we can decrease cancer cell proliferation. This is not saying that CBD is a cure for cancer. No, it's not saying that it's going to prevent you from getting cancer. No. But studies show that if you block GPR55, cancers do not grow fast. And CBD has been shown to block GPR55. So what I love about CBD is that unlike pharmaceutical drugs that we take right now, which try to just treat one symptom or one cause, CBD treats the entire system as a whole. This is so important because I believe everything in your body is intimately connected. Your brain is not just isolated up there in your head. Your heart, your vital organs they're not just isolated by themselves. Every single thing in the body reacts and works together to create health or even to create disease. So if you're interested in doing more research and trying out CBD, I can recommend two fantastic companies that I use. They both have oil elixirs that are easy to administer under the tongue with a little dropper. The first company that I use is called Ned, N-E-D. Ned makes full spectrum hemp oil and has different products for all types of things. I love their Ned Sleep Blend. That's the one that I use the most. They offer different strengths of hemp oil as well. So if you're starting out, you'll want to take the smaller dose. You'll want to have the dropper that's the 300 milligram kind. Just take a half dropper at night. Then you can graduate to larger doses if you think that works for you. But here's what's really interesting about CBD supplementation. It's cumulative. So you won't feel anything right off the bat. The first night that you take it, maybe subjectively you might feel something, but the more that you take it, the longer that you take it and the more consistent that you are, the better you feel. It's super gradual though. You might not even understand what it is doing for you until you use it for a month and then you stop using it for a week. Once you stop using it, if you've been consistent, of course, you can definitely tell a difference when you don't have it in your life and when you do. So I take a half dropper of Ned Sleep, the 750 milligram blend bottle. I do that every night after dinner, about an hour before bed as part of my sleep routine. I'm not affiliated with Ned at all, but I love their product. Their website is Hello Ned, HELONED.com. If you're going to buy from them, let me know. I think I have some discount codes that I can hook you up with. The other company that I recommend is a company that we are affiliated with. Our fitness studio just partnered up with Windward Full Spectrum Hemp Tinctures. So Windward is spelled WINDWARD, all one word. They have different types of tinctures, and the three that I use are Daily Performance. I use that as a performance enhancer. I use Mind Body Balance, which is more of like a calming tincture, and then the Evening Routine. You can take this evening routine tincture at night to help aid in recovery and sleep. They're a little newer company, but the founders are amazing, great people, and they're doing things the right way. So if you're going to go check out their website, you can see all the things that you might benefit from. It's windwardgoods.com. WINDWARDGOODS.com. Depending on when you're listening to this, I may have a discount code. We have our discount code that changes every month. So if you're looking to purchase from Windward, message me and I'll send you the discount code that if I still have it. All right, and to finish off this episode of lifestyle and daily supplements, I'd also like to quickly touch on a list of beneficial herbs and spices that have been found to medicinally be beneficial. You know I got to leave you with a list of natural substances that you can get easy access to that could have huge benefits on your health, longevity, and performance. Now, I got a lot of these from Dr. Mark Hyman. I highly recommend following Dr. Hyman's work. He's a beast in the health industry. He has such great content, whether you follow his Instagram, and his Instagram is at Dr. Mark Hyman, DrMarkHyman, all one word, or you could listen to his podcast, The Doctor's Pharmacy, and pharmacy is spelled Farmacy. So it's The Doctor's Pharmacy, pharmacy with an F. Now, herbs and spices have been prized for centuries and celebrated not only for the way that they can make food taste, but all sorts of medicinal powers that they offer. Some are anti-inflammatory, others are antibacterial or antifungal. Herbs and spices have been eaten for a long time, long before the invention of pharmaceuticals. And many are still revered and regularly consumed by places in the world where expensive drugs just aren't an option. In fact, many drugs are actually derived from spices and herbs. Now, if you dry them, their potency often increases. And if you infuse them in oil, you can use them to cook, and most of them retain their powers. They are super easy to grow at home in tiny spaces. In fact, I use this company called Hamama, who specializes in at-home microgreen kits. Hamama, Hamama. Super inexpensive and easy to use. You literally water it like a couple times, and then weeks later, you have herbs that grow, and you can just cut it and eat it. It's so cool. I highly recommend trying out a microgreen home grow kit, and kids will love it as well. If you have kids, it's a great project. And although we only eat a small amount when we eat herbs and spices, they pack a huge, big nutritional punch. Most of us don't consume nearly enough herbs and spices in our daily life. So here's a quick list of herbs and spices that I won't go super in depth. I'm just going to do a list, but get out your shopping list right now and take some notes and try them out. And let me know if you notice a difference. So here's a quick list and a quick hitting description. Here, starting off is basil. Basil, good for the heart. It is an antioxidant and antibacterial. Next, black pepper. Black pepper helps with the absorption of nutrients, and it tastes so good. I literally eat black pepper on almost everything. Cayenne and all hot peppers boost metabolism and increase circulation. Cinnamon improves circulation and antimicrobial. Cloves. Cloves, protection from the environmental toxins that we all are exposed to, anti-cancer properties. The next one is coriander and cilantro, the leaves of the coriander plant. This lowers blood sugar, good detoxification, quote unquote detoxification. Cumin. Cumin helps the immune system and is anti-cancer. Ginger helps aid in digestion and anti-inflammatory. Oregano antimicrobial and antioxidant. Parsley promotes good breath, contains antioxidants and anti-tumor agents. Rosemary stimulates immune system and improves digestion. Sage is good for the brain, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. You have thyme, good for lung function, antioxidant and antibacterial. And this is a big one, turmeric, good for the heart, anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer properties. Turmeric is hot right now. And I can say confidently, if you can add a few of these spices, herbs, and supplements into your life, I believe these will help to improve your health and longevity. I really hope you found the information in this episode helpful and you are able to implement some of them fairly quickly and easily. If you have any other supplements, herbs, spices, or even natural sources of food that you find are game changers in your life, I would love to hear them. Message me or comment on my posts on social media, and we can share what you found with the Living the Dream team.
All right, Dream Team, that's it for today. Please share with me any knowledge, thoughts, or questions you may have on today's topic. I'll make sure to answer and discuss on the next episode. You can ask your questions in the comments section or message me on any of the social media platforms. Also, I would be so thankful if you shared this episode with any of your friends or family that may be able to benefit from today's podcast. I would love it if you could do me a solid and screenshot this podcast and share it on your social media platforms and just write one takeaway, one aha moment that you got from this episode. This will help me know what's really valuable to you, and so I can keep the good information coming. And it also lets your network know if this podcast is worth a listen to them. Thank you so much for listening and learning here with us on the Living the Dream podcast. We are so grateful for you being a part of this lifelong learning journey. If you have any topics you'd like to discuss, please let us know in the comments or by messaging me on Instagram at CoachDamien_SD. Be kind to someone today. Smile at someone today and leave every person you come into contact with better than before. Until next time, friends, keep living the dream.